$1,000. Chris Berg from the Chris Berg Show on 1100 AM. The Flag is in the hot box tonight on this debate. Chris?
Thanks, Stephanie. Tonight we've got North Dakota Public Service Commissioner Kevin Cramer and North Dakota Senator Tim Mathern with me in the hot box to debate this issue exactly. Kevin, first off, thanks for joining me here in the hot box. Now, if you don't mind, give people just a very brief background on this lawsuit. And you are a proponent of the state putting up the $700,000, correct?
I am. The background is that in 2007, I think it was, the Minnesota legislature passed a bill, and Governor Pawlenty at the time signed into law a prohibition against North Dakota, or really other states, coal-generated electricity, any further development, if you will, any further sales of electricity generated by fossil fuels, aimed right at North Dakota, obviously. Since that time, proponents from North Dakota, industry folks and public officials have been lobbying Minnesota, including the current governor, trying to get that law changed, and we did it successfully. In the last legislative session, the Minnesota legislature repealed the law, but that law then was vetoed by Governor Dayton. So that brings us to really the last resort, and that is suing our neighbors and suing our customers, and it's not a pleasant thing to do, but yes, I'm a proponent of it.
So why? Why do you think it's good for taxpayers? I mean, we're talking about a huge industry here. I mean, we're doing, what, $100 million annually in coal?
Well, $103 million is what the coal industry alone actually pays in taxes to North Dakota taxpayers. So the $700,000 that was referred to is the cap, but that's also a small amount one time to defend our right to continue to collect $103 million into the taxpayers' funds of North Dakota to pay for our priorities. But there are a lot of other reasons. This is not a single industry. This is not even just a single company. This is multiple industries. The lignite industry alone in North Dakota employs 28,000 career positions. Besides the $103 million in tax dollars, it contributes $3 billion per year to our economy, and it provides for North Dakotans the lowest electric rates in the country. Those are things that a state, along with industry, ought to be fighting for. But if that wasn't reason enough, there's this little thing called the Constitution of the United States of America. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 is a little thing called the Interstate Commerce Clause. And the Constitution gives tremendous responsibility and right to states. In fact, all of the responsibilities that aren't enumerated specifically for Congress or for the federal government. But the Commerce Clause gives the federal government oversight of interstate commerce. That is commerce among states, as well as with Indian tribes and other nations. It is that purpose, as much as any, that I think gives us the justification to sue.
Now, Senator Mathern, you think that this is a complete waste of taxpayers' dollars. Why?
First of all, it's a frivolous lawsuit. It has no merit. Even the Public Service Commissioner is giving inaccurate information. When he says the 2007 Minnesota law does not permit the importation of more electric energy from North Dakota, that is incorrect. The Minnesota law just sets up a offset system where they can bring in as much electricity as they want, but there is a provision that they have to offset the carbon dioxide use with some other kind of activity to reduce that. So it's basically to stop backsliding. But the real issue here is the waste of taxpayer dollars.
Senator Mathern,
Minnesota is our best customer. It is not in our interest to sue our best customer. They spend millions and millions and millions of dollars to buy North Dakota products. You got to be working together with those folks, not suing them in a federal court.
let me bring this up. Senator Mathern, you and I typically debate issues, but I got to tell you, I might be on your side this time. This might be the only time ever, but Kevin, I want to bring this up. You mentioned it's $103 million in tax revenue to the state. It's a $3 billion industry.
Right.
They're going to pony up $500 grand. If I'm a business, I'll pony up another $700 grand to protect $3 billion. So why not put them on the hook and let the North Dakota taxpayers put the money back in their pocket?
Well, first of all, they are on the hook, Chris, and coal is under assault.
Yeah,
not only about
$700,000.
but we're talking about the rural electric cooperatives of North Dakota here. We're not talking about this some giant corporation in some other country or some other state. We're talking about corporate citizens, and we're talking about North Dakota natural resources. This isn't some industry that can move around or that can go to another state. This is an 800-year supply of lignite coal that generates all of this revenue and all of this economy. But the Constitution of the United States is worth fighting for, and it is appropriate for, I think, for government to set this
I agree with you
standard.
there, but $700,000 more for these coal companies when you're talking about a $3 billion industry, why don't they pay for it and let the taxpayers keep their money?
Well, I would say this. There's $103 million that they contribute to the tax base of North Dakota every single year. I think using $700,000 of it to protect our interests is not inappropriate. I think it's, in fact, I think it's a responsibility that we have.
Senator Mathern, you want to comment on that, sir?
Well, this money that we're making in North Dakota comes because we have wonderful customers in Minnesota. If we antagonize Minnesota, that's not in our interest. Minnesota is our customer. If you have any Fargo business starting to sue its customers, the customers go away. And that's my concern is we shouldn't have North Dakota citizen tax dollars paying for this. If these coal companies and these industries and these utilities want to sue, you know, as private entities, that's their business. But to take tax dollars, that is wrong. I'm really surprised that the Public Service Commissioner, who I believe should be looking out for the taxpayer, would be taking a position on this.
I'm looking out for the ratepayers, Senator Mathern, and I have great respect for you, and you know how much I love you and care about you because you care about things outside yourself, and I appreciate that passion. But I have to tell you that I'm looking out for ratepayers. Minnesota ratepayers pay 25% more for electricity than North Dakotans do, largely because of policies like this. If we're no longer able to share the burden of those huge investments in these gigantic coal-fired power plants, that means that the burden is going to be borne more by North Dakota ratepayers, and it's going to cost us a whole lot more. The senator's correct in that there's an offset that is allowed in the law in Minnesota, but it's that offset that makes North Dakota lignite. In fact, we have a mothballed plant near Jamestown that Great River Energy out of Minnesota owns that's never run one day, and it's never going to because it's not economical.
So let me ask you this. Obviously, Minnesota is moving towards green energy. We all know that costs a lot more. So why doesn't North Dakota just go sell this energy to somebody else and literally leave Minnesota out in the cold?
Well, first of all, it's not quite as easy as that. Electricity doesn't run on trucks or in pipelines. It runs on transmission lines, and it's a very complex grid system, as you know. And so it's not as easy as all that. But the other thing I would say is this. Senator,
but we've got more grids that go to just Minnesota, don't we?
Well, in electricity, you can literally deliver electricity to one place and you're selling it to another place. I mean, it's a very complex marketing system, Chris. But you know, we talk about wasting taxpayer dollars on frivolous things. I wonder how Senator Mathern and his colleagues feel about wasting $500 million on, you know, Solyndra, a company that's gone bankrupt because it's producing a product nobody wants.
Last question. I want to wrap this up. I want just a one-word answer from you, Senator Mathern. Does North Dakota win this lawsuit? Yes or no?
Oh, no way. North Dakota will lose this lawsuit. It will be embarrassing.
Thank you very much, Kevin Cramer. Do we win this lawsuit?
I don't know whether we win it or not. It's worth the lodging. I don't know. I'm not a constitutional lawyer.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. Obviously, a very heated debate. And that's what I want to ask the viewers tonight. Go to our Facebook, interact with this show. Do you think it's right that your taxpayer dollars are being spent to protect private industry? Clearly, it's a lot of money, $103 million. Is it an insurance program or is it a waste of money? I want to hear from you. Stephanie?
Chris, great debate and a lot of information that people are going to be tossing around and talking about. We want you to talk with us out there. It's not too late for your voice to be heard. Chat with us at 630pov.com or tweet us.